The human man returned to his small room late at night, his steps echoing softly against the metal floor. He had spent the day working in the colony, fixing broken machines and helping humans and aliens alike. His alien maid, a tiny creature with glowing blue skin and bright shining eyes, was quietly tidying the room, humming a soft tune that sounded like wind through crystals. She moved carefully around the furniture, her small hands floating above surfaces as if afraid to touch anything too roughly. The man smiled faintly at her, appreciating the silent company she offered. He dropped his bag onto the floor and reached for the bed, intending to rest for a while, when suddenly, the door to the room creaked open slowly. A tall, slender figure stepped inside, the alien girl moving cautiously, her glowing eyes scanning the room nervously. She froze the moment she saw him, her small body trembling slightly. The human's breath caught in his throat as he realized she had not expected to see him like this. Without clothes, her mouth opened but no sound came out, only a soft gasp escaped. The alien maid in the corner stiffened, her glow dimming slightly as if she too was unsure how to react. The man raised his hand slowly, trying to show he meant no harm. He could feel the tension in the room, heavy and almost tangible. The alien girl's gaze shifted from him to the maid, then back to him. It was clear she had not prepared for this, and her hesitation made the air thick with suspense. The man tried to stay calm, but his heart was racing. He could sense her fear and curiosity battling inside her. The alien girl's eyes shone brighter for a moment, reflecting the dim light of the room. She took a small step backward, her hands trembling as she tried to cover herself slightly, though she was already fully dressed. The human noticed her nervous movements and felt a mix of concern and intrigue. Why had she come here at this hour, and why was she so afraid? He wanted to ask, but the words seemed too loud in the tense silence. The alien maid moved closer to him, creating a small barrier between him and the girl. Her presence was calming, yet her glow seemed to warn the visitor to be careful. The man slowly reached for a towel lying on the bed, intending to cover himself. The alien girl flinched, stepping back even more, her small frame shrinking under the weight of fear. Her eyes darted to the door, then back to him, searching for an escape. The room felt smaller, the walls closing in with the intensity of the moment. The human finally spoke, his voice soft and steady. "It's okay. I won't hurt you." The alien girl blinked, unsure whether to believe him. Her lips parted slightly, and she whispered a word almost inaudible. "Why?" The human's mind raced, trying to understand what she meant. Why had she come here, and why did she react like this? The alien maid tilted her head, her glowing eyes studying the visitor carefully. The tension was unbearable, and yet the man felt a strange connection forming. Something in her fear, her hesitation, made him want to protect her. He took a careful step closer, and the alien girl's body stiffened. Her hands reached out slightly, but then she pulled them back, unsure. The air was thick with unspoken questions, and the night outside the window seemed to hold its breath. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the man nodded gently, signaling that he would wait. The alien girl blinked rapidly, her curiosity overcoming her fear just a little. She took a tiny step forward, her glowing eyes never leaving his. The room was silent except for the soft hum of the alien maid, and in that moment, the story of trust, fear, and curiosity began. The audience is left wondering why the girl came, what she wanted, and how this strange encounter would change both their lives. The alien girl stood frozen near the doorway, her glowing eyes fixed on the human. The room felt smaller than before, as if the walls themselves were watching silently. She did not speak, and the human did not move. Only their eyes met, exchanging questions without words. The alien maid hovered closer to the human, her small form shimmering faintly, creating a protective glow. Her presence was comforting, yet it also warned the alien girl to stay cautious. The girl's hands twitched nervously at her sides, and she swallowed hard. Every tiny movement seemed amplified in the tense air. The human's heart raced, but he forced himself to stay calm. He wanted to understand her, but he knew that pushing too fast could scare her away. The alien girl blinked, her gaze flicking toward the bed, then back to him. It was clear she was trying to measure him, to figure out if he was dangerous. A faint hum echoed from the room's corner where the maid stood. It sounded like the soft vibration of a crystal, but it carried a weight of warning. The human slowly shifted, sitting down on the edge of the bed, careful not to make sudden movements. He kept his hands open, palms facing the girl, signaling peace. The girl's eyes narrowed slightly, analyzing him, trying to see beyond his skin. She had been trained to distrust humans, yet something about him felt different. The tension in the room was thick, almost physical, pressing down on both of them. The maid moved her glowing fingers in a soft pattern, creating small waves of light across the floor. The alien girl flinched at the display, but curiosity kept her rooted in place. The human noticed her hesitation and spoke softly. "You don't need to be afraid." The words were simple, but his tone carried sincerity. She tilted her head, unsure whether to trust him. Her glowing hands twitched as if wanting to reach out, but fear held her back. Tiny whimper escaped her lips, almost inaudible. The human leaned slightly forward, his eyes steady, calm, inviting her trust. Outside the room, the faint hum of the colony continued, a reminder that danger could be near at any moment. The alien girl's body shook slightly, her glowing blue skin flickering as emotion battled inside her. Her gaze flicked to the maid again, seeking guidance and reassurance. The maid remained still, silent, letting the moment unfold naturally. The girl took a cautious step forward, then froze. Unsure if she was safe, the human held his breath, not moving an inch, letting her decide. For a moment, time seemed to stop, the room suspended in a delicate balance. The girl's eyes softened slightly, the fear in them still present but less rigid. She whispered a single word, "Why?" The human's heart skipped, and he responded gently, "Because I want to help." The alien girl hesitated, a mixture of fear and curiosity rippling through her. She looked at him, studying his expression, trying to read his intentions. Her body remained tense, but her hands relaxed slightly, a small sign of trust. The maid let out a soft, approving hum, and the girl's eyes flicked to her. The tension in the room did not disappear, but it shifted, like a storm calming slightly before another wave. The audience can feel the weight of fear, curiosity, and trust building between them. No one spoke more words, but the connection was stronger than anything said aloud, and in that silence, the stage was set for a story of unexpected bonds, secrets, and challenges. The human and the alien girl remained locked in a silent standoff, each understanding the unspoken rules of this strange encounter, and the night outside continued quietly, holding its breath, as the audience waits to see what would happen next, and whether the girl would finally step closer or retreat entirely. The alien girl finally took a small step forward, her glowing blue eyes still fixed on the human. Her body trembled, but there was a strange curiosity in her gaze that was stronger than her fear. The maid hovered closer, her light casting soft shadows across the walls. The shadows seemed to dance with a life of their own, flickering with every tiny movement. The human remained still, letting her move at her own pace, his hands open and relaxed. For a long moment, neither spoke. Only the soft hum of the maid filled the quiet room. The alien girl's voice finally broke the silence, a soft, hesitant whisper. "Who are you really?" The human smiled faintly, trying to make her feel safe. "I am a human, like you've seen before," he said gently. "But I am different too." She tilted her head, confused. "Different? How?" He sighed softly. "I protect those who cannot protect themselves. I don't hurt, unless I must." The girl's glowing eyes narrowed slightly, trying to understand him. Her small fingers twitched at her sides, and she looked at the maid for guidance. The maid remained silent, letting the human answer for himself. Outside, a faint noise echoed down the corridor, distant footsteps that did not belong to them. The girl's body stiffened, and she took another cautious step back, her instincts warning her of danger. The human noticed and gently lowered his voice. "Don't worry, you're safe here, for now." Her eyes flicked to him, studying every movement, searching for a lie. The shadows in the room seemed to stretch and twist, making shapes that made her shiver. Her mission, she realized, had never included humans who were this kind, this calm. She had been sent to observe humans for the council, to report every action, every reaction, but now, something had changed, something she didn't understand. The human shifted slightly, keeping his eyes on her, careful not to start. "Lahir, you were sent to watch me?" he asked softly. "But why?" Her voice trembled. It is my duty, my people. We cannot trust humans." The maid hummed quietly, a vibration that seemed to soothe the girl. The girl's eyes flicked to the maid, a silent question in her gaze. The human noticed the connection. "I am not your enemy," he whispered. "I am your friend, if you let me be." The alien girl's body shivered, her fear mixed with curiosity. She wanted to step closer to understand him, but the shadows outside the room reminded her of the danger still near. The hum of the colony outside was faint, but the threat felt very real. Suddenly, a soft clatter echoed from the far side of the room, a small piece of metal falling to the floor. Both human and alien girl jumped slightly, their eyes scanning the darkness. The maid glowed brighter, creating a protective shield of light around them. The alien girl took a deep breath, trying to calm her racing thoughts. She realized that despite the fear, she felt a strange trust forming toward this human. Her mission was clear, yet her instincts were conflicted, torn between duty and curiosity. The human sat patiently, his eyes gentle and encouraging, letting her choose her next move. Finally, the girl whispered, I do not understand. Why do you not hurt me? The human smiled softly. Because I see more than your fear. I see your courage, your spirit. Her glowing hands twitched again, a small flicker of light escaping them. For a moment, the shadows seemed to shrink away, as if recognizing the trust growing in the room. The girl stepped slightly closer, her curiosity overcoming her fear just a little. The maid hummed quietly in approval, her soft glow filling the room with warmth. Outside the door, the distant footsteps continued, reminding them that danger was near. But inside, a fragile bond began to form, a silent undie. Standing between human and alien, the audience is left wondering what secrets the alien girl hides and how this connection will change everything. The night held its breath, waiting for the next step, the next choice that could change their lives forever. The alien girl's glowing blue eyes studied the human carefully. Her body was tense, but her steps were slower now, less fearful than before. The maid hovered near the bed, her light casting soft patterns across the walls. The shadows no longer seemed threatening, only gentle waves moving with the glow. The human sat still, waiting patiently, his eyes calm and welcoming. He could sense her hesitation, the battle between fear and curiosity playing across her face. For a long moment, neither spoke. Only the soft hum of the maid filled the room. Then, almost imperceptibly, the alien girl stepped closer. Her hands trembled slightly, her glowing fingers brushing against the air as if testing the space between them. The human did not move, his hands open, showing her he meant no harm. A small, almost silent breath escaped her, the first sound she had made since entering the room. The maid floated closer to the girl, her soft glow touching her lightly. It was a subtle gesture of reassurance, a sign that the human was safe. The alien girl's eyes flicked to the maid, then back to him. Her lips parted slightly and she whispered, I do not know if I can trust you. The human nodded slowly, understanding the weight of her words. I will not rush you, he said gently. Take your time, and I will wait. Her body shivered again, a mix of fear and something else she could not name. She wanted to step closer, to reach out, but the walls of caution around her were strong. The human noticed, and he leaned slightly forward, his eyes soft, encouraging. You are safe, he said again. No one here will hurt you. For the first time, the alien girl considered his words, letting them sink in. The maid hummed softly, vibrating through the floor and air, a comforting sound that seemed to say, he is not your enemy. The girl's glowing hands twitched again, a small flicker of light escaping them. She took another step closer, her body trembling, but her curiosity stronger than before. The human smiled faintly, welcoming the gesture without moving too quickly. He could feel the tension easing slightly, the walls around her heart cracking just enough to let trust enter. The room was quiet, except for the soft hum of the maid and the faint vibration of the alien girl's energy. Her glowing eyes scanned him carefully, searching for any sign of deceit. She had been trained to expect humans to be dangerous, unpredictable, and selfish, yet here he was, calm, patient, and kind. Her small hands twitched again, and this time she reached out just slightly. Her fingertips brushed the edge of his arm, a tentative, almost fearful touch. The human felt the contact, a spark of warmth traveling through him. He smiled softly, holding his arm steady, letting her feel the safety and trust he offered. The maid hovered even closer, her glow forming a soft barrier, protecting the fragile bond forming in the room. The alien girl's eyes widened slightly, surprised by her own courage. She took a deep breath, steadying herself, and whispered, I think I understand now that you do not mean harm. The human nodded, his voice gentle. Exactly. I am here to help, not to hurt. For a moment, the room was silent, the air heavy with emotion. Outside, the faint sounds of the colony continued, but inside, a small connection had begun to form. The alien girl stepped even closer, her glowing hands almost touching his. The human stayed still, letting her decide the pace, letting trust grow naturally. It was the first step of many, the first fragile act of faith in a world that had taught her fear, and as she hovered near him, the audience can feel the suspense, the tension, and the fragile hope that something extraordinary was about to unfold. The alien girl hovered just a few steps away from the human, her glowing skin casting soft reflections across the walls. Her small hands twitched nervously, unsure if this closeness was safe. The maid hovered silently beside her, her gentle hum vibrating through the air like a soft heartbeat. The human remained still on the edge of the bed, his eyes calm, inviting trust. Every second stretched longer, the silence filled with unspoken questions. The alien girl wanted to step closer, but memories of her training clawed at her mind. Her people had warned her about humans, told her to fear them, but the warmth of this human, his patience and gentleness, challenged everything she had been taught. She tilted her head slightly, studying him, searching for the truth behind his calm expression. Suddenly, a faint shadow moved outside the room, flickering against the hallway walls. The alien girl stiffened, her instincts warning her of danger. She took a tiny step back, her glowing fingers twitching as if ready to vanish. The human noticed immediately and raised his hand slightly. "It's okay, I'm still here. I won't leave." She hesitated, torn between fear and curiosity. The maid's glow intensified slightly, a quiet signal of reassurance. The girl's glowing eyes flicked to the maid, then back to the human. She whispered, "What if they find me here, and they see you?" The human's gaze softened. "Then we face them together. You are not alone anymore." Her small frame shivered, the fear in her eyes clear. For years, she had been alone, running, hiding, trusting no one. Now, for the first time, someone offered her safety, choice, and protection. The shadows outside grew longer, the faint hum of movement echoing through the corridor. The alien girl's instincts screamed at her to flee, to vanish into the dark corners of the colony, but something inside her, a fragile spark of trust, held her in place. She stepped closer again, her glowing hands trembling as she reached toward the human. The human stayed perfectly still, letting her approach at her own pace. The room seemed smaller now, the walls holding in the tension, the fear, and the possibility of trust. The alien girl's voice barely escaped her lips. I do not understand why you care." The human smiled faintly. "Because I see you, not just the alien they trained you to be, but who you really are." Her glowing eyes widened slightly, her mind struggling to process the words. The shadows in the room twisted with the soft light from the maid, forming patterns that almost looked alive. A faint clatter came from the corner of the room, a small piece of debris falling to the floor. The alien girl flinched, instinctively moving back. The human's hand extended slowly, palm open, inviting her trust. She stared at it for a moment, her mind racing. The fear of the unknown battled with the strange feeling of safety. The maid hummed softly, brushing her glowing fingers through the air in a protective pattern. The alien girl's body shook slightly, and then, finally, she reached out. Her fingers brushed his hand lightly, tentative, almost afraid. The human smiled gently, holding his hand steady, letting her feel the safety and calm he offered. The shadows in the room seemed to shrink away, as if acknowledging the fragile trust forming. Her heart pounded, a mixture of fear, excitement, and relief flooding her system. For a brief moment, the world outside the room faded, leaving only the two of them and the quiet hum of the maid. The alien girl whispered again, I think I can try to trust you." The human nodded slowly. "That is all I ask. Just a start." And as she stayed near him, the audience can feel the tension, the suspense, and the fragile bond growing between them. The night outside continued quiet. Gly holding its breath as the story moved forward, and the alien girl realized that trust could be dangerous but also powerful. The alien girl stayed close to the human, her glowing blue eyes flicking nervously around the room. Even with the fragile trust forming, her instincts screamed that danger was never far away. The maid hovered silently, her light forming a protective circle around them. Every shadow seemed alive, stretching and twisting along the walls. The human noticed her tension and spoke softly. "No matter what comes, you are not alone." Her small hands twitched, the faint glow of her energy rising in tiny pulses. She wanted to believe him, but the memory of betrayal and fear made her hesitate. The hum of the colony outside continued, faint but constant, a reminder that enemies could come at any moment. Suddenly a shadow flickered across the doorway, faster than the eye could catch. The alien girl's body froze, her glow flaring as her fear spiked. The human's eyes narrowed slightly, his voice calm but firm. "Stay close. Whatever it is, we face it together." She swallowed hard, her throat tight, and took a careful step closer to him. The maid's glow brightened, sending waves of soft light across the floor. The shadow moved again, lingering near the edge of the room, almost as if testing them. The alien girl's glowing fingers twitched, and she whispered, They are here." The human nodded, keeping his voice low. I know, but you are safe with me, just trust me. The room felt smaller, the walls pressing in with tension and fear. The alien girl's instincts were screaming at her to flee, to vanish, to hide in the shadows, but the human's calm presence anchored her, giving her courage she had never known. A soft metallic scrape came from the corner, the faintest sound that made both of them turn. The maid's glow flared brighter, pushing the shadows back slightly. The alien girl's pulse raced, her glowing fingers trembling in the soft light. I cannot let them find you, she whispered. They will think you are a threat. The human shook his head gently. No, they cannot harm me if we are together. We are stronger than they expect. Her eyes widened, uncertainty and fear battling with the strange trust forming inside her. Outside the room, faint footsteps echoed, slow and deliberate. The shadows stretched toward the doorway, as if the darkness itself wanted to reach them. The alien girl's body tensed, ready to react, ready to vanish if needed, but she stayed, drawn to the calm presence of the human before her. The maid hummed softly, vibrating through the room, a quiet signal that everything was under control. The human reached out slowly, offering his hand again, a silent invitation of trust and courage. Her glowing fingers brushed against his palm, tentative but steady. The shadow at the door seemed to hesitate, as if sensing the bond forming inside the room. The alien girl whispered, "What if they try to take me back, or worse?" The human's voice was calm, confident. "Then we will stop them together. I will not let anyone hurt you." The alien girl's eyes softened slightly, the fear mingling with a strange relief. The room seemed to exhale, the tension easing for just a moment, but the distant footsteps outside reminded them that the danger was still very real. Her glowing hands twitched again, her energy flickering like a storm ready to erupt. The human kept his eyes on her, steady, unwavering, giving her courage she had never felt. The maid's glow formed a protective dome, shielding them from the creeping shadows. The alien girl realized that trust was powerful, but so fragile, and that even in the darkest moments, someone willing to stand by her side could make all the difference. The night seemed to hold its breath, the hidden threat waiting, testing their courage and bond. The audiences left on edge, wondering who or what was lurking. Outside and how this fragile trust would face the coming danger. The room was quiet, too quiet. The soft hum of the colony faded beneath a heavier silence. The alien girl sat near the human, her glowing hands resting on her lap. Her eyes flicked toward the door every few seconds, as if waiting for something she feared might come. The maid stayed alert, her light forming a gentle barrier that shimmered faintly in the darkness. The human looked around the room, sensing a change in the air. He could feel her fear like a wave building with every heartbeat. Then it happened. A loud metallic thud echoed through the hallway. The alien girl jumped, her glow flaring bright with alarm. The maid floated closer to the doorway, her glow tightening into a sharp edge of light. The human stood slowly, placing himself between the door and the girl. "Someone's here," the girl whispered, her voice shaking. "They found me." The human didn't answer, his eyes locked on the door, his muscles tense and ready. Another sound came, a hiss, followed by the quiet snap of a control panel being pulled apart. Someone was trying to override the lock. The maid moved toward the door, placing her small hands on its surface. With a soft glow, she reinforced the lock with a pulse of alien energy. It would only delay them, not stop them. The human turned to the alien girl, his voice calm but urgent. "Is there another way out?" She nodded quickly, pointing toward a wall panel near the back of the room. "A service tunnel," she whispered, "but it's small, built for maintenance bots." "It'll have to do," the human said, helping her up. The maid followed them as they crossed the room in silence, each step slow but deliberate. Behind them, the lock sparked. Whoever was out there was getting closer. The girl pressed a glowing hand against the panel, and it slid open with a quiet click. A narrow tunnel appeared, just big enough to crawl through. The human looked down the tight space, then nodded. "You first." She hesitated for just a second, then climbed in, crawling fast. The human followed right behind, and the maid floated in last, sealing the panel shut behind them. Just seconds later, the door behind them burst open with a loud crash. The intruders were inside the room, but they were too late. Inside the tunnel, it was dark and tight. The human's shoulders scraped the sides as he crawled, but he kept moving. The girl whispered directions as they went, her voice shaking with fear and urgency. "Left here, then down," she said. "We need to reach the lower levels." Behind them, they could hear the faint sound of voices, searching, following. The human reached forward, grabbing her ankle for a second. "You okay?" She looked back, her face pale but determined. I think so." "You're doing great," he said gently. "We're getting out of this." The tunnel opened into a small maintenance room deep in the colony's lower sector. Dust filled the air, and broken lights flickered on the ceiling. The maid hovered out, her glow now dim to avoid detection. The alien girl collapsed onto the floor, breathing hard, her whole body shaking. "I thought they had me," she whispered. "I thought it was over." The human knelt beside her, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. "They didn't, because you trusted me." She looked at him, tears in her glowing eyes. You didn't run, you stayed." "Of course I stayed," he said quietly. "I told you, I won't let anyone hurt you." In that dim, broken room, something changed. The fear was still there, but now it was mixed with strength. The girl wasn't just surviving anymore. She was starting to believe she deserved to be protected, and the human, who had once just wanted peace and rest, now had a reason to fight. As they hid in the shadows of the colony's lowest chambers, the audience knows this was no longer just about trust or escape. It was the beginning of a bond no one could break. Even the darkness outside seemed to pause, uncertain of what this new alliance could become. The old maintenance room was dark and cold, filled with dust and the soft buzz of broken lights. The alien girl sat quietly, her knees pulled up to her chest, her glowing skin dimmer than usual. The human crouched beside her, alert but calm, his eyes scanning the space for anything useful. The maid floated near the ceiling, her soft hum now reduced to a low whisper of light. They had escaped for now, but the threat outside still lingered like smoke after fire. The alien girl spoke first, her voice soft and trembling. "They won't stop. They'll keep coming." The human looked at her and nodded. "Then we stay ahead of them. We find out what they want." She shook her head slowly. "They want me back because I know too much. I saw things I wasn't supposed to." Her fingers glowed faintly as she spoke, the light pulsing with her fear. The maid turned to her. "You were only meant to observe, not get involved." "I didn't mean to," she whispered, "but he was different." The human leaned forward slightly curious. "What did you see?" The alien girl hesitated, then pulled something from a small pouch hidden under her robe. A glowing crystal, no bigger than a human thumb, pulsed softly in her hand. "This," she said, "this is why they're hunting me." The human took a closer look but didn't touch it. The light from the crystal moved like a heartbeat, alive and warm. "What is it?" he asked, voice steady. "It's not just energy," she replied. "It's memory. A recording from their leader, something never meant to be seen by anyone outside the high circle." The maid's glow dimmed even more, her voice serious. "If that is true, we must not stay here." The human looked between them, now fully aware this wasn't just about one scared alien girl. This was something bigger, something that could start a war. "Why show it to me?" he asked. "Why trust me with this?" The girl looked at him, her voice shaky but honest. "Because I saw how you looked at me. Not like a thing, not like a threat, but like I mattered." The silence in the room was deep, heavy with emotion and danger. Outside, a loud hum vibrated through the walls, search drones moving closer. "We have to move again," the maid said quickly. "There's an old tunnel under this room, sealed long ago." "How do you know that?" the human asked. The maid floated toward the far wall, touching a small panel with her glowing hand. "I was built to know," she said quietly. "I was programmed to protect her, even if she didn't know it." A low rumble echoed from behind the wall, and then a small hatch slid open, revealing stairs that disappeared into darkness. The girl stood slowly, still holding the crystal, her fingers wrapped tightly around it. The human helped her up, gently guiding her toward the hatch. As they descended into the dark, the air became colder and wetter. The walls were made of stone now, not metal, covered in markings the human couldn't read. "What is this place?" he asked. "A sanctuary," the maid replied. "Long forgotten, but still safe." The alien girl looked around, her voice barely a whisper. "I've only heard of this in stories." The passage opened into a larger space, hidden beneath the colony's foundations. Strange symbols glowed faintly on the walls, pulsing in rhythm with the crystal she carried. "This place was never meant to be found," the maid said, "but now it may be our only hope." The human looked at the girl, her face lit by the soft glow of the walls. "I don't know what this is," he said, "but if you believe it can help us, I'm with you." The girl's eyes filled with something new, not fear but purpose. And as they stood together in the ancient chamber, the audience could feel the tide turning, not just an escape now, but a fight worth standing for, in the depths of the hidden row. A new path began. One filled with danger, secrets, and a hope that maybe, just maybe, trust could change everything. The silence in the hidden chamber was suddenly shattered by a deep, echoing hum. The glowing walls flickered, pulsing in rhythm with the crystal in the alien girl's hand. She clutched it tightly, her fingers trembling, not from fear now, but from what she knew was coming. The maid floated between her and the entrance, her glow dimmed, focused like a shield. The human stood beside them both, shoulders squared, eyes on the dark passage they had just come through. "They found us," the girl whispered, her voice steady but low. The human didn't flinch. "Let them come," he said. "We're ready now." Footsteps echoed above, heavy and many, the metal plates of the colony vibrating with each step. A loud thud cracked through the chamber, dust falling from the ceiling like ash. The maid turned toward the girl, her voice urgent. "The sanctuary's defenses are old. They won't hold long." The alien girl stared at the glowing crystal, watching its soft light grow brighter. "They want this," she said, "but they don't understand it. They're afraid of what it reveals." "What does it show?" the human asked. The girl looked up at him, eyes glowing. "That the war was started by their own leaders, that the peace treaty was a lie." The human clenched his jaw, understanding the weight of what she carried. Truth that could destroy entire alliances, truth that could bring justice, or start a new war. Another loud boom hit the chamber wall, and a crack opened in the stone. From it, the figures began to appear, tall, armored, and faceless. Their weapons hummed with deadly energy. The girl stepped back, clutching the crystal close to her chest. The maid placed herself in front of her, light forming a barrier like rippling glass. One of the attackers raised his voice, deep and cold. "Surrender the artifact." And the human, "No," the girl said, her voice louder now, stronger than before. The soldier S moved closer, slowly, weapons raised. The human stepped forward, shielding both the girl and the maid. "You'll have to get through me first," he said without fear. The lead soldier paused, confused by the human's defiance. "You protect a traitor?" the soldier growled. "I protect someone who showed me more courage than your entire squad," the human snapped. The alien girl's eyes shone brighter, her fear now replaced by purpose. She raised the crystal high, and it responded to her will. A beam of light exploded outwards, slamming into the cavern walls. Images filled the air, holograms of meetings, betrayal, hidden plans by the High Circle, the truth made visible in front of everyone. The soldiers stepped back, stunned, their weapons shaking. "This is what you were hiding," the girl said, her voice filled with fire. "You lied to our people, made us hate the humans just to stay in power." The room trembled as the truth echoed across the chamber. The soldiers hesitated, looking at each other, their mission now unclear. The human placed a hand on her shoulder. "You were meant to carry this truth, not run from it." The maid's glow pulsed with quiet pride. She was born for this. One of the soldiers lowered his weapon, slowly backing away. Another dropped his visor, staring at the holograms in disbelief. The lead soldier growled, "This changes nothing." But even his voice trembled with doubt. The human stepped forward again. "You can kill us, or you can open your eyes." "No more lies," the alien girl said. "Not anymore." And as the lights dimmed and the last echo of the hologram faded, the soldiers stood still, uncertain. The confrontation was not over, but something had shifted. The truth had been spoken, and even the enemy could not unsee it. In the hidden room beneath the colony, a war of lies had cracked open, and the first spark of real change had begun to burn. The chamber fell into silence, broken only by the soft hum of the glowing crystal still held in the alien girl's hand. The images of betrayal had faded, but the truth now lived in the eyes of everyone who had seen it. The soldiers no longer moved. Some lowered their weapons, others simply stood still, stunned and unsure. The human placed his hand gently on the girl's shoulder, grounding her, reminding her she wasn't alone. The maid floated silently behind them, her glow soft and warm, like morning light after a storm. "You've done something brave," the human said, his voice calm. "You changed everything." The girl blinked, her heart still racing, her breath unsteady. "I didn't mean to start a war," she whispered. "I only wanted to stop running." The human shook his head gently. "You didn't start a war, you lit a fire of truth. And that's more dangerous than any weapon," the maid added softly but proud. The soldiers stood in silent conflict, their orders still ringing in their minds, but none dared to move forward again. None dared to silence what had just been revealed. The lead soldier turned his head, voice rough. "What do you want us to do?" The alien girl stepped forward, slowly, her voice trembling but clear. "Leave this room. Leave this lie. Go back and tell them that we know." She held up the crystal one last time. "Tell them the truth is no longer hidden." The lead soldier stared at her, then at the human, and then at the maid. There was silence, long and heavy. Finally, he lowered his head and turned away. Without a word, the soldiers followed, their footsteps echoing down the tunnel as they vanished into the shadows. When they were gone, the girl dropped to her knees, her strength finally fading. The human knelt beside her, steady and strong. "You held yourself like a warrior," he said, "even when you were afraid." She looked at him, a faint smile on her face. "Because I wasn't alone." The maid hovered closer, speaking in a softer tone than ever before. "You were never made to fight, but sometimes the truth chooses its own voice." The girl stood slowly, legs shaking, but a new light in her eyes. "I thought I was just a watcher," she whispered, "but now I know. I'm something more." They left the sanctuary through a hidden tunnel, long forgotten by the colony above. It led them far beneath the surface, to a quiet cliff that opened into the stars. The alien sky stretched wide, filled with blue moons and sparkling rings. The wind here was different, cool, gentle, full of promise. The girl walked to the edge and looked up. "I used to think the stars were watching me," she said. "Now I feel like they're waiting for me." The human stood beside her, a quiet presence filled with strength. "Then let's give them something worth watching," he said with a smile. The maid hovered between them, her light pulsing with warmth. "There will be more challenges," she said, "more who won't want peace, who will fear what you've shown." "I know," the girl replied, "but I won't run anymore." The human looked at her with quiet pride. "You walked into my room that night afraid," he said, "and now look at you. You changed everything." The girl nodded slowly, her eyes full of strength. "Yes," she whispered, "but you were the first one who made me feel seen and safe." As they stood there, beneath the alien stars, the audience can feel that the story is not ending. It's only the beginning, a beginning built on trust, courage, and something far stronger than fear. Hope. A new dawn was rising over the galaxy, and at the center of it stood a human, and the alien girl who dared to step forward when everyone else stayed silent.